Hello everybody, my name is Scott Clausen. I'm an addictions counselor with North Range Behavioral Health. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If you can, I'm hoping somebody clues me through the message. I'm very technologically challenged. We are here today for Coffee with a Counselor. I want to welcome you aboard, and I've been looking forward to this for a while. I want to encourage you to sit back, relax a little bit. I hope you have about 20 minutes just to kind of take it easy and go through a couple of different topics. I have my cup of coffee here. It actually is coffee. It's caffeine free. Caffeine doesn't agree with me this time of day. And I also have a little bit of water. The subject that I'm going to be talking about today is back to the basics. And what I mean by that is returning to very basic hands-on skills to battle anxiety, stress, fear, cravings for drug and alcohol, bad food, things that aren't going to be productive. So you may be wondering why I'm in a barn or in a shop as it is. I kind of thought it'd be fun to demonstrate just a very basic skill. Cool, somebody says they can hear me. Thank you very much. I'm going to be demonstrating a basic blacksmithing skill because that's what my background is in. So the point isn't to go become a blacksmith. The point is find something that you enjoy, hands-on, whatever it might be. I've always been interested in soap making. I buy really good handmade soap. I don't know how to do that myself, but I may tackle that project someday. My background, I actually worked in the trades before I became a counselor. I didn't become a counselor until later on in life, and then I went to school for that. Before that, I worked in the auto body field, so a welder, a painter. I worked with horses for a living for most of my adult life. In fact, one of them is about 15 feet away here in the stall eating. And I was a farrier. So a farrier is somebody who takes care of horses' feet, and I still do that to some extent. The reason why I bring that up, I derive a lot of joy from that. It brings a lot of peace to my mind. That's the lesson that I want to try to get across today is let's take a look at some basic skills that we can do, especially in this time when a lot of people are so concerned about things that are happening around them. But in any time, really, I mean, in my opinion, stress and anxiety really doesn't go away. It's all in how we manage it. So in my shop today, I have my coal forge going. I'm going to be forming just a very simple S-hook out of this steel. Now, the basis of most of my blacksmithing has been repurposing steel that would have otherwise been salvaged. So I am a bladesmith. I do different things. I make a lot of decorative artwork. This actually came off a local ranch, and I have a spool of about 20 feet of it. I don't know what its original purpose was. It had been laying out there for 50 years, I'm sure, but I hauled it home to make stuff out of. So I'm going to try to work on that a little bit and explain what I'm doing while we talk about this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and kick on my forge real quick. Hopefully you can still hear me over any background noise that pops up. So I am looking at notes here. I'm not talented enough to do this without losing my train of thought. So forgive me if I kind of stop and look down for a second and try to remember what I was going to talk about. I'm going to paint a scenario. So you're watching the news and a story comes on that disturbs you a little bit. I think the latest one has been, there's psycho bees or psycho wasps. I can't remember the exact term, murder hornets. So when I heard the story about murder hornets, I was already looking around and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? We have to protect ourselves from the psycho bees, murder hornets. And in reality, I probably have more to fear from all the sugar that I ate while I was sitting on the couch and watching Netflix all winter than I do murder hornets. I'm not saying it's not a real threat. I really don't know that much about them. I'm going to grab this piece of steel out real quick and let's take a look at it and we'll continue on. That almost got too hot. You can actually burn steel up in the forge. I'm just going to put a real quick point on it and go ahead and bend it a little bit. Okay, there's where we're at so far. We just put a point on it and a simple bend. Okay, back to my story about murder hornets. when you are anxious over things that you're witnessing on the news or things that are going on around you, you really have a couple of different directions you can go. You can obsess over it. You can sit there and worry about it and create high blood pressure, hypertension, cravings for things that we don't need. Or you can take that fear and anxiety that we all have and you can put it towards some kind of creative outlet or some kind of like forward momentum for yourself. This is something I believe strongly in, and this is why I wanted to talk about it today, is I have lived a lot of my adult life. My goodness. Just a minute, my door blew open. I've spent a lot of my adult life dealing with my stressors by making things, building things, creating things. And when we get to that point where we have that fear and anxiety, it's about having some go-tos that you can turn to when you're experiencing those feelings, those emotions, before it turns into something destructive for you. So let's turn that piece of steel just a little bit more. Let me grab it out of the fire. I didn't have the forge blower going, so it's not quite as ready to burn up as what it was. We're just going to kind of find that. All right. Here's where we're at so far. We have a half a hook. I'm going to heat the other end now. Okay, 3 criteria that I tend to apply to anything that I'm about to do. Is this thing that I'm about to do, is it going to create strength in my life? Is it going to create weakness in my life? Or is it going to do neither? The older I get, I realize that most of the things that I do fall into the top 2 categories, not the last one. So most things either impact us negatively or they impact us positively. They're not benign. So it could be as simple as drinking a glass of water. Water creates strength for me. I need to stay hydrated because I do so many outdoor activities. If I choose to drink a pop, which I used to love pop, got nothing against it, it just does not work well for me. Too much sugar, too much caffeine, it dehydrates me. Now, on a grander scale, when I'm experiencing stress and anxiety, if I choose to turn to sugary foods, so that can end up being a weakness. If I choose to turn to one of my go-to activities, like music, I love to play music. I play violin, mandolin, guitar. I didn't say well, I said I play. So the point is not to go out and maybe do it perfectly, but to do it because it brings you joy. This could be true of writing. It could be true of poetry. It could be true of knitting. I personally have not tried knitting. I may do that someday. Haven't done it yet. And start thinking now about activities that you've always wanted to do and maybe have not done them yet. So one clue of an activity that you may have on your heart is something that you've always wanted to try, but you don't feel like you have the means. If that is what has happened, then think in terms of researching it. So if you want to take up scuba diving right now and you live in the middle of the plains of Colorado and you can't go anywhere, it may not be realistic that you're going to go scuba dive on the coral reef this month, but you can start learning about it. You might even be able to get certified once we open back up again. And then you can start pursuing the hobby that you love. And just pursuing and researching something actually has intrinsic value in my book. I've spent a lot of time just watching YouTube videos about things that I want to learn how to do, and I got lost in doing that. So I enjoyed the learning of it almost as much as I enjoyed practicing it later on. I'm going to kick my blower back on real quick, and we'll heat this piece of steel just a little bit more. I'm going to check my notes real quick so I don't get totally lost in my message. Okay. I heard a very wise individual came up with a quote that I loved, and it's it's an opinion, but I like it. Sobriety is not the opposite of addiction. Passion for life is the opposite of addiction. And I really liked that quote because when we have things that we're passionate about, we're less likely to get involved in things that are destructive to us. So when we're excited about the next thing that we're going to go try, we're more likely to go do that and forget about the destructive thing that we were going to do. Probably doesn't, it's not a grand scale type statement. It's more of like something that I adhere to. It's like, that's right, I'm supposed to be passionate about things. I told somebody one time, if I could be like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter guy, about everything I do, I think I would be more successful, because he was so excited about spiders and snakes and turtles that if he can show that much passion for spiders, I can show that much passion for the things that I'm doing. Let's grab that steel out before it burns up. Oh. Very close. That is really hot. Okay, all I'm doing is just kind of like twisting it back the other direction a little bit. Okay, I know you probably couldn't see that, I apologize, but now we have a bend in the other direction. So, the go-tos that I would want you to have from this talk today would be that, I'm checking my notes, I'm not going to lie, I have to look to make sure I don't mess this up, what your passion is and how you're going to implement that. Can you find what your passions are? Do you know what some of your passions are? Do you know what some of your go-tos are? And do you know how to utilize, like how to pursue those? Find something that you've always wanted to do and research it. Say, go ahead and take this time. Now is a grand time to do it because we've all, I mean, everybody knows the situation. We have the coronavirus thing going on, and we're a lot of stay-at-home orders. I have a lot of hobbies around home I could do, so I've been pretty happy doing that, but I've still picked up a few new things too. Examples of this would be, this is funny, I decided to start making pies. I really like good pie, but I can never find like good pie out. And so I started making pies from scratch at home. A couple of them came out really good. One of them a little bit dubious, but we ate it anyways. The other thing was homemade tortillas. I have known my wife for 30 years. I don't think I have done any single one thing that impressed her as much as when I decided to start making homemade tortillas. I think it brought like a new flair to our relationship after 30 years. I have value because of that. I'm joking, of course, but it was a fun thing to do, and it bought me value. And I guarantee you, when I was learning how to do that, I lost track of time. I wasn't thinking about psycho wasps, murder hornets. I wasn't thinking about coronavirus right at that point. I was just having fun creating something. Reap the rewards emotionally and physically of the things that you do. So if something isn't bringing you joy, put it aside and do something better. I spent an incredible amount of time watching Netflix this winter until I was so tired of every single Netflix series that I had watched that I really had to like step out and do something different. I just decided this is not producing fruit for me anymore. When it was cold out and I really didn't want to feel like I wanted to come out to the shop, I could do that. Now I'm more likely to go, I don't think I'm going to start a new series right now. It's springtime. I have things that I want to do. My horses need exercise. There's things that I need to build in the shop. So I'm going to put that aside now, and I'm going to turn to more fruitful endeavors. Okay, let me grab that piece of steel again, and let's take a look at it. I'm just going to turn it because I forged both my hooks in the same direction, which is not what I wanted. So now it's going to have a center twist. There we go. Okay. Now I'm actually going to quench it in the water. I know you're probably not going to be able to see this, but you might be able to hear it. Okay. So I have created something that I didn't have before. For a blacksmith, this is an exceedingly simple project. Even after 30 years of doing this kind of work, I love just making something simple that I can take and utilize. One thing that you could use these for is if you camp or you're up in the mountains and you need pot hangers. Here's one that I made last week. You can use those. Let's see if it'll hold a bucket of water. I hope this doesn't end badly, so. Okay, that's a full 5-gallon bucket of water that we can hold up now with our 2 very simple S-hooks that we made, and I probably will put those to use somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna check my time because I have a tendency to lose all track of time, especially when I'm demonstrating stuff. Ooh, that went by quick. We are way beyond 20 minutes, I apologize. So, I wanna finish up with, this is about our crisis center. If you're experiencing crisis, or you know that somebody that is, I'm gonna read this verbatim so I don't mess this up. If you or someone you know is experiencing a behavioral health emergency, crisis counselors are here to help. Call 970-347-2120. That's the main North Range number. Or text TALK, all caps, to 38255, or walk into the 928 12th Street building in Greeley. So the 928 building is catty corner from where that Safeway used to be that they tore out, where they have the new fire station now. And it's where my office is, on the other side when we are at work. I want to thank you for showing up and doing this today. I hope this was rewarding. It was for me. I really enjoyed doing this. Everybody have a great weekend and go out and flourish and find something you enjoy doing and do it. Thank you.